Hello, everybody. This is The Option, powered by uSTADIUM. I'm James. He's Chris. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's been a great day. The weather was decent enough for me to enjoy the day. I'm excited to talk football again. How about you, buddy?
As always, it's usually a good time when we're talking football. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's usually most of our conversations too.
yesterday we did quarterbacks. So, if you're looking to get some information on your on some quarterbacks to be drafting, we had a good list of a top five that we have that you definitely want to check out. And we did talk about some other rookie quarterbacks and whatnot. Today we are going into running backs. You excited about running backs, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the positions that I enjoy drafting the most in fantasy football. So I'm always excited to talk the running back position. Before we get into anything, if you like the content, like, subscribe to the channel. We are now accepting super chats and super stickers. We appreciate everything that you guys have been throwing our way. Again, like and subscribe to the stream. James, let's get right into these running backs, buddy.
Let's do it. So obviously, the way we're structuring these little shows here is we're not going to give you guys and talk about the main guys. We will talk a little bit. We'll touch on it. So these are the usual suspects that if you get a chance to draft early in the draft, definitely take these guys. If we're looking at these, Chris, who's your number one? Is it McCaffrey? Is it Cook? Kamara? Where are you looking?
For me, number one would be McCaffrey, just based on volume that he's going to see. When the games that he played last season, he was putting up QB numbers in fantasy football. Then, if I'm going the PPR route, it's Alvin Kamara, then Dalvin Cook. What about you, James?
Yeah, I think I got it exactly the same. I'm curious. I think Kamara could repeat. I mean, with Michael Thomas being out a little bit and him being the best option they have anywhere, Kamara could be scary good again. And I know usually RBs don't repeat at the top, but as long as he doesn't get hurt, all signs point to him being a repeat as the number one option. I know McCaffrey's gonna have something to say about that, and so is Cook. But I mean, those are your top three guys. But even Henry, Zeke, Chubb. I have Barkley a little bit lower than most do, but even Barkley's top 10 in there. I mean, these are all guys you're going to
Where
draft.
do you got him, James? Where do you got him?
I got
Just
Barkley
for the
outside the top
listeners.
10. I got him at 11 this year. I think he's going to have a
Oh,
slow start,
spicy.
but I do think he's still a draftable RB. So these are the guys that are going to go in the first round, especially in single QB leagues. Everyone's going to take them. These aren't the guys we want to talk about because we know these are the guys that you're going to draft if you have the option. We want to talk about some guys a little bit lower than these guys that we think can help you win a championship. So let's get into our first one, and that is Austin Ekeler from the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, last year, Austin Ekeler had 116 carries, 530 rushing yards, one rushing TD. He averaged 4.6 yards per attempt. Unfortunately, he did have some injury problems, and he wasn't able to have finish the whole season. He ended up having 60 targets for 54 receptions and 403 yards and two receiving touchdowns. What do you think of Mr. Eckler, Chris?
I'm big on him coming into the year. The offensive line was ranked bottom of the league last season, so that's only going to go up. He averaged 16.5 fantasy points per game last year in the games that he played, and now that Joe Lombardi is the guy that's going to be running the offense in LA. He runs a pass heavy offense that targets the running backs a lot. We've seen that in New Orleans. We've seen that in his time in Detroit when his running backs averaged about 160 catches in the year. He was fifth amongst RBs last year with 403, and he was fifth amongst RBs last year with 54 receptions in the limited time that he played. James, are you taking Austin Ekeler in the first round if you're at the back of the draft?
Yes, without a
Yeah.
doubt. I am a little bit worried on the injuries that he's had before. I'm hoping that that's out of the way now. And I know people may look at him as a pass catching back only because of how he was utilized before. But looking at the depth chart here, I mean, it's Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson, and a rookie who's been making a pretty big name out there. Larry Roundtree has been looking pretty good as well in preseason. But I still think Austin Eckler's the guy. We have him at RB10. Definitely, you get your at the end of the back draft and you see him there, definitely take him. This guy is going to score you a lot of points, and especially in the half point PPR or PPR. I mean, this guy could be even higher once the season's finished. So,
Just
Chris,
a
where do we?
question:
Oh,
Eckler
sorry.
or Saquon?
Oh, Eckler for me.
Frank Greco, Eckler equals bust. Come on, Frank.
Ooh.
Come on. So you're taking Eckler over Saquon this year? If
I
Saquon,
am.
if you're in the 111, 112, you're taking and Saquon's there, which most likely is not, but if he's there, you're comfortable taking
I
Eckler
would
before
rather Eckler than Saquon right now.
really,
Yes.
really.
That Giants team scares me, man. I'm telling you. So
It scares me, but he is the offense. And a guy
yeah,
like Eckler, he only got one goal line touch last year. So he's only doing it in the passing game, really.
I like Eckler. I still like it. I still think he'll be fine. And one, I mean, yeah, I doubt Barkley will be there at that 110, 111 anyways. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would take Eckler. Just that's my own personal preference.
Let's throw up his projections. His 2021 fantasy projections from us for Austin Eckler this season is he's going to get a big bump up in the rushing yards category. So he's going to go 800 rushing yards, 5 rushing TDs, and we got him at around 75 receptions for 730 yards and another 5 TDs.
Yes, sir. Like I said, it's gonna have a good year, especially in the PPR format. All right, Chris, who's our number 2 running back?
Our number 2 running back is a guy that I was high on last season coming into the year. You not so much. I remember the chirps of he's a wide receiver playing running back, but our number 2 guy is none other than Antonio Gibson from the Washington football team. His PFF rating last year was 80.9. He had 170 touches, 795 yards, and 11 TDs. He was a big touchdown producer in the limited amount of time that he had last year. He had 36 receptions, 247 yards, but unfortunately, he had 0 TDs. Coming into the year, James, are you taking Antonio Gibson or
Well,
Saquon Barkley?
I'm not taking the mistake that I made last time. I mean, I think I have Barkley ahead of Antonio
Just
Gibson.
a bit, I
But
believe.
if
Yeah.
if I had the chance to take Gibson again and Barkley wasn't there, I definitely wouldn't make that mistake like I did last year. In my defense, he was a wide receiver that was a running back, so I wasn't lying when I said that. He just did play a lot better than I expected him to, especially against my Cowboys. We don't need to talk about that though, and exactly how well he did, but
He
he
got 3
definitely.
touchdowns that game. That was
I
on
just we didn't need to
Thanksgiving.
talk about that, Chris. I
No,
said
I'm all
it.
good bringing that up.
We
I'm
don't
all good
have to
bringing that
go
up.
there, man. All right. Okay. Yes, I'm actually very curious to see what they do with him this year because I've been hearing a lot out of camp that they want to use him as a Christian McCaffrey, and with Rivera being the coach there, obviously he would know the scheme to do that with. And I mean, if that's the case, and like I said, he is a very good wide receiver too, because he was one. He could catch the ball and run just like he's been doing, and that could be damage this season, and he could skyrocket up the charts.
Yeah, I think he needs a bigger percentage of the snap share. He only got the 43% in 2020.
Mhm.
But if he gets a boost and he gets a 10 to 15% boost for those numbers, he could definitely go into that top 10 category for you where you're getting him in the mid to late second round. I got Gibson pretty high this season. I made a bet with you that he's going to do better than somebody else than JT at the end of the year.
Yes, we did.
What I'm excited about is the offense that Scott Turner runs. If he has any of the philosophies carried over from his father Norv, which made running backs like LaDainian Tomlinson, and when he was in Carolina with Christian McCaffrey, if Scott Turner takes anything away from his father, hopefully it's the fact that he likes to utilize one running back. James, what are his 2021 projections?
We got him at 235 carries for 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 55 receptions for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns. Be a
Yeah,
monster.
that's a big boost for him. It's a guy he ranks in the 99th percentile of speed, and we've seen that. He has a separation that will take him away from defenders. So I'm excited for Tony G this year. Hopefully Washington is excited as I am.
Nice. All right, number 3 on our list, the guy that helped me win 2 championships last season, came on strong in the back half of the season. From the Chicago Bears, David Montgomery. He has a PFF rating of 81.8. Last season, he had 247 attempts for 1,070 yards and 8 touchdowns, 4.7 yards per carry. He was the RB4. And in the last 6 games of 2020 season, he averaged 100 yards per game. Like I said, he helped me win the championship in those 6 games. He helped me get into a few playoffs. It was great having him, especially when everyone doubted him to start with. And I think he's going to have a big year again this year. What do you think of Mr. Montgomery?
Yeah, I think he's going to have a big year as well. Where you're going to get him in your drafts, he's the perfect target if you want to go wide receiver, tight end in the first 2 rounds. You're going to get him in the early or mid parts of the 3rd round. When Tarek Cohen went out last year, the pass catcher for the Bears, David Montgomery stepped up. He showed his prowess in the passing game. He was first in routes run among the RBs with 374, which is huge. And he had 54 receptions, which would make him RB5 in the category. David Montgomery, he averaged 17.65 fantasy points per game. Again, 5th at the position. So I'm expecting him to come into his prime RB age at 25. So I'm expecting big things for David Montgomery this year, especially where you're going to draft them over some of the running backs that we provided with the usual suspects.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't see much of a competition against him. I've been hearing even Nagy's been saying, he's going to try to get him at least 20 carries a game, if not more. So that's always a plus to hear that. I mean, yeah, they got some other backs there that people are saying, what about this? Like Cohen's coming back. I don't know if he's exactly fully back yet, but he'll be back soon. And Damian Williams is there, but he was off last season. So I still think it's his room, his backfield. And I mean, I watched him on the NFL Network there. They did a little thing where he was asking the coach in preseason. He wanted more snaps. He's like, "Get me out there. Let's go play. I want to go." So he's definitely got. He wants to eat. He wants to run, and I think I think he's gonna have a big year this year. Where do we have him at for projections, Chris?
For 2021, we have David Montgomery with 260 attempts, 1,215 yards, 9 rushing TDs, paired with 40 receptions, 345 yards, and 2 receiving TDs. So big year for Mr. Montgomery.
I think so too. I got him. I think I had him sneaky in my top. I think he was a 10 or 11 on my list as well. I think it was 10 when I had him, just based off how he finished. So
Now, does Justin Fields coming in, would that affect where you would take him? Like if you knew Justin Fields was starting week 1, would that put a little bit of would that sink his stock a little bit, knowing that Justin Fields is a runner, an elite runner, and would look to run? If they were 8 yards out, he'd rather run than dump it down to David Montgomery himself. Like would you fade David Montgomery a little bit, knowing that Justin Fields, if he was the starter, is the starter?
it may lower him a little bit, but I still think that they would, set up the plays to go through David Montgomery because they'd want to protect their quarterback, their young guy. They would probably tell him not to try to run as much. I mean, did you see him get killed in that preseason game there? So,
I did, and the game
yeah,
was moving so slow for him. It was
yeah,
moving
yeah.
so slow for
That
him.
guy slowly hit him. It was so slow. But yeah, so I think they're gonna definitely want to ease that in. So I still think Montgomery will get the ball, even though, and yeah, there may be a few that he loses out to what's it called, the Fields there, but
Fields, yeah.
I still think he'll be okay in the long run. So
Yep, I agree, buddy.
before we get on to our next one, I just want to, say again, if you love the content, we are accepting super chats and super stickers. We appreciate it. Please make sure that you follow and like the stream and the channel. We do this for you guys. So the more likes and follows we get, the more things that we can produce for you guys. So let's all try to win a championship together. But with that, let's move to our number 4 running back. And we actually had this guy on our list before a big injury that just happened to his team. And now he's even higher on our list. And we're talking about Baltimore Ravens' Gus Edwards. Last year, he was a
The
PFF
bus.
85.8 with he had 144. He had 144 runs with 723 yards for 6 touchdowns. He was last year's RB 35 in half PPR format, and he had 7.7 half point PPR points per game. So it wasn't great, obviously, because he was behind Dobbins, and that's the guy we're talking about who was hurt. JK just got hurt. If anyone doesn't know that already, which we're assuming most of you would, but he has it was it the ACL that they tore?
Yeah, I believe it was the ACL injury. Devastating news for the second-year running back. 3 young running backs have gone down already in
Yeah, I know.
Akers, Etienne, and Dobbins. It's heartbreaking, but that's football at the end of the day. That's the unfortunate side of it, right?
That's right.
So next man up, and that next man is Gus Edwards. 3 years he's been in the league, 3 straight 700-yard seasons. If
Mm-hmm.
you're in a standard league, he's a guy that you're definitely going to want to target. In half-point PPR leagues, his numbers in the passing game aren't the greatest. James, I think you said when we were speaking earlier that he's only had 9 catches through his first 3 seasons. Was that right?
No, so he's only had 9 catches in a year total as his
Oh,
max.
that's his
Yeah,
personal
so
best, career best. Okay, I got
never
you.
been able to surpass that. So obviously now that he's going to be the guy, and they're, the question is, do they bring in a veteran to take that over? We don't know if he can pass catch. We've seen some signs that he can make some catches. Can he do it consistently on a consistent basis? That's what we're going to have to find out. But I mean, the most he's ever had was 9. So you're already looking, maybe he gets to the 2021 range this year. That's what you're kind of looking at in a full season. Could that be more? Like, that would surprise us just based on what he's already done. But that's one of the negatives, especially in PPR formats. This guy might not get you those catches that you're looking for, but he will get you the yards, and he should be the goal line back for these guys after, of course, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, his stock went right up when we heard the Dobbins news. I'm good with taking them in the 5th, 6th. Are you comfortable taking them anytime before that in a half PPR league?
No, you know what? I think it's same thing. I probably around that round there, maybe a little bit later, depending on what running backs go off the board. I mean, obviously it depends on your draft, right? But if he's there, I mean, RB2, I think he'd be a solid RB2 for any team. And if you get him as an RB3, you're laughing. But
Yeah, I mean, if you went 0 wide receiver already before the Dobbins news, and Gus Edwards was one of your 0 wide receiver targets, I mean, you're
you're a running
you're
back.
you're in the jackpot. You're laughing now
Yeah.
with Gus Edwards there, because you're gonna have the stud wide receivers. Now you're gonna have this stud running back. Like you said, there are rumors that they might be bringing in a veteran running back. The ads of Todd Gurley alone, but I think he was up in like the 20,000 ads on Sleeper today. But I don't see it. I think they're comfortable running with Gus. Tyson Williams, which was named the RB2, and then there's Justice Hill, the RB3 there. I'm not going to say I'm excited for Gus Edwards coming into the season, but I'm hoping for a decent workload where I can draft him. I can draft him a bit later, and he's going to be a valuable asset for my fantasy team.
Yeah, no, I mean, he got a 2-year, $9 million contract for a reason. You don't give that to a backup. That's some nice change for someone who, people think is a backup. So I think they were
I
already going
mean,
to
you
utilize
keep
him.
calling Kenny and Drake a backup, and he got 2 years, 10, but
That's true, but that's true. Yeah. All right. I still
yeah.
think Kenyon Drake's the backup
Yeah.
just because I have too
Oh,
much shares in
okay.
Josh Jacobs to not to not have that. But they're going to utilize him a different way. But we're not talking about him today. We're talking about Gus. Okay.
I got you, buddy.
What are our points for Gus this season?
Our 2021 projections for Gus Edwards with the injury to J.K. Dobbins, of course, is 215 rushing attempts, 1,054 yards, and 9 rushing TDs. He's going to hit the 20 reception mark around there, 170 yards, and 1 TD in the passing game.
There you go. All right. And our last running back of the day, Chris, give it to us.
Our last running back of the day, Frank, I hope you're still with us. It's DeAndre Swift of the Detroit Lions, a PFF grade last season of 69.4, 114 carries, 521 yards, and 8 TDs last year. He was RB 18 in half point PPR. He averaged 12.8 points per game. He had 46 receptions, 357 yards, and 2 TDs last year. One of the main reasons why I'm excited for DeAndre Swift this season is the offensive coordinator, Anthony Lynn, who likes to dump down to the running backs. They like to produce a run-heavy system. I could see a kind of Mel Gordon, Austin Ekeler type of offense with Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift this year. I know, James, in a few leagues, you're trying to dish him off and move him and stuff like that, but he might be a good hold for you in the long run. What is your take on DeAndre Swift this year, James?
Well, based on pure talent, I mean, he's a top 12 guy. He was highly touted coming out of the draft. They were actually saying he's probably the best running back pass catcher coming out of the draft. And so all signs pointed to this great season that he was supposed to have. And then they brought in AP, and Matt Patricia ruined all of that for him. So he's gone now. And now they brought in Anthony Lynn, like you said. And Anthony Lynn, it looks like they're kind of trying to ruin that too for him with this running back committee, and Jamal Williams is a 1A running back and all this talk that he's got going. But I don't know how much I fully believe it. I still think Swift is the guy. I think he's going to lead them all the way. Yes, Frank, they have a beefed up O-line. That's right. For those that don't know, Frank's a Detroit Lions fan, might be the only one we know, but he's very happy about it. And yeah, and I mean, I think he's going to do well. Now, you said I'm trying to trade him. I get it. But that's only because I have the draft stock to do that and try to move up and get a better running back if I can. But or else I'm happy keeping him. I traded for him last year to get him. And you know, I think he's going to do really well for me. I like the fact that he's on a bad team. Some people think that's a negative, but to me, that's a positive because that means the offense is going to be on the field a lot more, which means they're going to have to do a lot more things to try and get everybody going. And they're one of their main pieces. I mean, if you look at the wide receivers, we really don't know who's a good wide receiver on that team other than Hawkinson. And then on top of that, you got Swift as probably the next best player or the best player. And then you got Jamal Williams. So, and we know that the QB there likes to do the checkdowns and likes to drop it off, which if Swift can catch the ball, there he goes. So I like him. I think he's good. I think definitely for a later running back to get, you'll be good with. And a lot of people are scared of him. They're probably going to pass on him.
Yeah, if he can get the Kamara or Ekeler type numbers where he's getting 10 to 15 carries, 5 to 8 targets, he could be very valuable for you coming into
Yeah.
the fantasy season. And again, like a lot of these other guys, you're going to get him in the mid to late round, not late rounds, but you're going to get him into the mid third, late second of your drafts. He's going to produce for you. The only issue is there was a back problem coming out of camp for him. But as much as I heard, it's a non-issue. So I'm ready for DeAndre Swift to enter that next level in the 2021 season.
Me too. And with that, our fantasy projections for him this season, he's going to have 190 rushes for 920 yards, 6 touchdowns, 60 receptions for 420 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he'll definitely be a really nice RB2 on most teams.
Yeah, I agree, man. And guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the stream. Go over to your app store, download the uSTADIUM app. They got a free draft kit in there that's going to help you win your leagues. It's a beautiful piece of work that uSTADIUM put together for you guys. We are accepting super chats and super stickers. We appreciate all the love we've been getting from you guys. Let's keep it up and head into the fantasy football season.
That's right. So we're going to be coming back to you with some other content later this week. I think we're going to be doing wide receivers and tight ends at some point. So we'll get you guys some more information. Chris, you're going to be doing a live stream tomorrow, I believe, a mock draft, right?
Yeah, uSTADIUM's doing a huge 12-hour live stream to support the hurricane aid relief of all the Hurricane Ida that's going on in the southern states right now. It's just been devastating, the images and everything that we've seen coming out of there. So they're doing a huge stream to try to fundraise and raise as much money as they can to send down there and help out. I'm excited to be a part of it. As a New Orleans fan, I bleed black and gold. So anything I can do to help out what's going on in Louisiana and any other states that are affected. I believe we're doing a mock draft at 8 p.m. So join us, donate, and we can't wait to see you.
That's right. Anyway, that's all for us tonight. So thanks for joining in, and we'll see you